Welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, absolutely. So I want you to picture this. You are, drinking your morning coffee, you open your tablet, and there is this cheerful little Facebook notification reminding you to wish a happy birthday to a friend or a family member.
Oh, I know exactly where this is going.
Yeah. But the thing is, that person actually passed away 3 years ago.
Yeah. It's a really jarring feeling.
It's a massive jolt. It's unexpected. It's sad. And honestly, the computer just doesn't know. So today we are exploring a really vital topic that affects, well, absolutely everyone who uses the internet. What actually happens to your digital accounts when you are no longer here?
Right. And it is a question that catches, so many families completely off guard, because the reality is, unless these tech platforms are explicitly notified, your accounts simply stay active indefinitely.
Just floating out there.
Exactly, just floating. The automated machinery just keeps humming along. They keep sending out those birthday reminders, and your profile might pop up in people's memories feeds for years.
Which can be really tough.
Oh, incredibly tough. It turns into a really frustrating and honestly painful process for a grieving family to deal with.
Exactly. And to figure out how to stop that automated machinery, we spent this week reading through a massive stack of source material. We looked at tech platform terms of service, legal precedents on digital estates, and some really complex privacy white papers.
Lots of legal jargon in there.
So much jargon. So our mission today is to distill all of that dense language down to the absolute essentials. We want to empower you, the listener, to take complete control of your digital footprint so your family never has to navigate a complicated corporate process later.
And right at the top, I think we should do a quick tone check.
Oh, definitely.
Because we know that talking about end-of-life planning isn't exactly, lighthearted morning conversation. But setting up these digital tools isn't a morbid task at all. It is truly an act of care.
Yeah, that's exactly the right way to look at it.
It's a profound level of organization that really takes a heavy administrative burden off your loved one's shoulders well before they even know it exists.
I completely agree. And I want to remind you, as you're listening right now, you are deeply capable of mastering this. We talk a lot on the Senior Techie about how technology can feel like a fast-moving train, but you have navigated countless technological shifts in your lifetime.
You really have, from typewriters to smartphones, right?
Exactly. This is just one more tool in your belt.
Yeah.
So let's start by looking at this through the lens of physical property. Let's talk about your digital real estate.
I love that framework. Your digital footprint is very much like a physical estate. You have public-facing properties and you have private locked vaults.
Right.
And just like in the physical world, the tech companies have very specific legal ways of handling what happens to those properties. In the source material, the platforms use a very formal word you'll see a lot. They call it memorialization.
Okay, so let's unpack memorialization. If we think of an online account, like, say, a Facebook profile, as a physical house you've built, memorializing it doesn't mean the platform brings in a wrecking ball to knock the house down, right?
No, not at all. Think of memorialization as turning that active, bustling house into a locked, protected museum, or like a tribute space.
Oh, a protected museum. I like that.
Yeah. The active machinery of the account completely stops. On Facebook, for example, they freeze the account and place the word remembering right before your name.
Okay, so everyone can see it's a memorial.
Right. Your photos stay up, your past posts stay up, but nobody is getting a notification to wish you a happy birthday anymore. The automated stuff is turned off.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But a museum needs someone to, look after it. And that brings us to another concept I saw over and over in the terms of service, the legacy contact.
Yes, the legacy contact. To maintain that protected museum, Facebook requires you to name someone for the job. This is the specific person you select in your settings who is given permission to manage that memorialized account.
But wait, I have to push back here because I think this is where people get really, really nervous.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds invasive.
Right. If I name a legacy contact, am I essentially handing over the keys to my house so they can, wear my clothes, sleep in my bed and read my private mail? Can they just log in and pretend to be me?
No, absolutely not. And that is such a crucial distinction to make. The platforms have built incredibly strict boundaries around this. A legacy contact cannot log in as you. They do not get your password.
Not at all.
Not at all. They cannot read your private direct messages, and they absolutely cannot post new content as if they were you. So think of them less as a new homeowner and more as a trusted groundskeeper.
Okay, a groundskeeper. So they just, mow the lawn and make sure the front gate is working.
Exactly. The privacy laws and honestly the platform's own legal liability require them to lock the private data away. Your groundskeeper can only do very basic public-facing upkeep.
Like what kind of upkeep?
Well, they can pin a final farewell message to the top of your page, maybe sharing funeral arrangements or a link to an obituary. They can update your profile picture, and they can respond to new friend requests.
Oh, friend requests. Why would you get those?
Well, perhaps from older acquaintances who are just hearing the news and want to see the memorial page to leave a tribute. But honestly, that is the absolute extent of their power.
Oh, well, that is such a relief to hear.
Hmm.
The private messages stay private. It is so respectful of your boundaries while still giving your family a really vital tool to communicate. Discovering these kinds of practical, reassuring safeguards is exactly what we love sharing on the Senior Techie.
It really is a great example of making the technology work for you on your terms.
So if Facebook is our public front porch, setting up a legacy contact is how we hire that groundskeeper. But let me ask you a question that came up repeatedly when we were looking through the community forums online.
Sure, what is it?
What if I don't want a museum? What if, when I'm gone, I want the house torn down completely? I don't want my photos lingering out there on corporate servers forever.
That is a wonderful question, and the answer is that deletion is entirely possible. You are completely in control here.
Really? They don't force you to stay on?
Nope. Facebook's architecture gives you a very clear binary choice in your settings. You can either appoint a legacy contact to manage a memorial space, or you can formally request complete account deletion after death.
And how does that deletion actually work on their end? Because, nothing on the internet ever feels truly gone.
It's actually a very thorough process. If you select the deletion option, once the platform receives verified notification that you have passed away, which is usually a family member uploading a death certificate, the system initiates a total scrub.
A total scrub?
Yes. It removes your profile from the public eye immediately. And then over the course of a few weeks, it systematically deletes your posts, your photos, your comments, and your data from their backend servers. It is permanently erased.
That is fantastic that they offer both options and that they legally commit to that data scrub. So how do we actually make this choice? I don't want to just, read a boring list of menu options, but
Yeah.
I do want everyone listening to know that making this choice takes, about 5 minutes?
Honestly, it's remarkably simple. It takes maybe 3 minutes. You don't need to be a computer programmer to do this. On your tablet or your smartphone, you just open up the Facebook app and look for your settings.
Okay, settings.
Right, and you're looking for an area called the Account Center. From there, you just follow the path to personal details, and you'll find a section clearly labeled Account Ownership and Control.
Account ownership and control. Got it.
Exactly. And that is where the memorialization option lives.
So you basically just go to settings, find your personal details, and look for memorialization. And once you tap that, it just presents you with the two choices we talked about.
That's it. It just asks, do you want a legacy contact or do you want to delete your account? You tap your preference, follow a couple quick prompts, and you are entirely done. You've secured the front porch.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. But Facebook is really just one piece of the digital puzzle. It's the public space. What about the private vaults?
Ah, right. The private stuff.
Yeah, the locked filing cabinets in the basement where you keep your personal mail, your tax documents, decades of family photos. I'm talking about Google.
Mhm.
And for most of us, Google means Gmail, Google Photos, Google Drive, and even your YouTube history.
Google is a completely different ballgame because it holds a staggering amount of the modern digital life. It truly is the ultimate private filing cabinet.
Yeah, they have everything.
They do, and because the data they hold is so sensitive and so vast, they couldn't just use a simple groundskeeper model like Facebook. They had to develop a brilliantly thoughtful, automated tool to handle it.
Right. And in their privacy white papers, they call this the inactive account manager.
Hmm.
If we're sticking with our physical analogies, I like to think of this as a timed, safe deposit box that automatically springs open if you don't check in to reset the clock.
Yes, the mechanics behind it are fascinating. Because Google is so integrated into everything we do, they can monitor your activity without actually reading your private emails.
Okay.
You set this up by going to your Google account settings, specifically the data and privacy section, where you will find a prompt that literally says, make a plan for your digital legacy.
And how does the timed part of this safe deposit box actually function? Do I just type in a number of days?
Sort of. You, as the account owner, set a strict time frame of inactivity. You can choose a duration of 3, 6, 12, or 18 months.
Okay.
What that means is if you do not interact with your Google account for that entire period, the system assumes something has happened to you. And interaction means sending an email, using Google Maps on your phone, or just watching a YouTube video while you're logged in. Any of those actions completely resets the timer.
Okay, but I have to stop you there because that feels incredibly risky to me.
Really? Why?
What if I just decide to take a month-long cruise? Or what if I rent a cabin with absolutely no internet access? Or, what if I just lose my phone and don't log in for a while? Does Google just automatically throw open the doors to my private vault and hand my emails out to people?
That is exactly the fear that Google's engineers anticipated, and it's why they built in a multi-layered waterfall warning system. Before Google ever reaches out to your emergency contacts, they aggressively warn you first.
Oh, they warn me. How so?
Yes. A full month before your chosen time limit expires, the system starts trying to get your attention. They will send multiple alerts to your primary email, but they will also email any alternate backup email addresses you've provided.
Okay, that makes sense.
But more importantly, they will send a text message directly to your phone number. So if you are alive and well at that cabin, you'll get a text. You simply tap a link, log in, and the entire clock resets. The vault stays locked.
Well, that is incredibly smart. It gives you every opportunity to say, hey, I'm still here, stand down. But let's say there is a worst-case scenario and there is no response to all of those warnings. Then what happens?
Then, and only then, the system activates your legacy plan. It will securely notify up to 10 trusted contacts that you have previously selected.
Up to 10, wow. And reading through the documentation, what really impressed me was the level of granular control you have over those 10 contacts. You aren't just, handing the master key to your entire life to one single person.
Exactly. That's the genius of the Inactive Account Manager. You can meticulously segment your data. Let's say you have a vast, beautiful collection of family pictures in Google Photos. You can designate your daughter to receive a secure link to download just those photos.
Oh, just the photos.
Right, but maybe you have highly sensitive financial spreadsheets in Google Drive. You can designate your spouse or your accountant to receive access to just those documents. The accountant never sees the photos and your daughter never sees the finances. You curate exactly who gets what.
That level of control is amazing. And addressing my earlier question about tearing the house down, does Google offer a deletion option too? If I don't want the data sitting there forever.
Yes, they do. You can instruct Google to permanently delete your entire account, scrubbing it from their servers, 3 months after this sharing process is complete. So your loved ones get the photos, and then the vault dissolves.
It's like leaving very polite, highly secure, automated instructions for your digital estate. So we've secured the public social internet with Facebook, and we've secured the private filing cabinet with Google. But we need to talk about the physical device itself, the smartphone sitting in your pocket or your purse.
Definitely. And for a huge portion of listeners, that device is an Apple iPhone. And Apple's approach to this problem is entirely different from Google or Facebook because Apple's security philosophy is tied directly to the physical hardware of the phone. They use what is called end-to-end encryption.
Right, which means even Apple doesn't know your password. They can't just flip a switch on their end and open your phone for your family.
Exactly. Because they don't hold the master key on their corporate servers, they had to engineer a solution that bridges the digital world and the physical world. They call it the digital legacy feature.
Okay, digital legacy.
Yeah, and just to reassure everyone, if your iPhone has been updated any time in the last few years, specifically iOS 15.2 or later, you definitely have this feature built right in.
So how does Apple bridge that gap if they don't have the passwords?
When you go into your iPhone settings and designate a legacy contact, your phone actually generates a highly complex cryptographic key. It's a long string of data that acts as a literal key to your iCloud backup, so your photos, messages, notes, and documents. But instead of just emailing it, Apple gives you the option to print this key out on a physical piece of paper.
And it prints out as a QR code. Now, if you aren't familiar with that term, it might sound intimidating, but it just looks like a square barcode. Think of the barcode on a box of cereal at the grocery store, but instead of straight vertical lines, it's a little square made of black and white static. It's simply an image that a smartphone camera can scan.
Exactly. But in this context, that square barcode contains the mathematical puzzle piece Apple needs to unlock your data. By printing it out, you bring this invisible digital concept into the real world.
That is so cool.
You can take that physical piece of paper and file it away with your last will and testament. You can put it in your home fire safe, or you can place it in a sealed envelope with your estate documents at your lawyer's office.
Wait, I have to play devil's advocate again. Handing a printed QR code that unlocks all my private text messages to my lawyer, or, putting it in a safe my kids know about, feels incredibly risky. What if someone finds the paper and scans it while I'm still alive? Do they just get instant access to my life?
It is a very valid concern, but Apple engineered a dual lock system to prevent exactly that. The printed QR code is only one half of the key. If someone finds that paper and scans it today, the system will immediately prompt them to upload a legally valid death certificate.
Oh, so it requires physical proof of passing.
Precisely. Apple's legal team actually reviews the submitted death certificate. Only when the scanned QR code matches the account and the death certificate is verified does Apple unlock the data. The QR code is completely useless on its own while you are alive.
That is fascinating. It's a perfect blend of high-tech cryptography and old-school legal verification. And getting to this setting on your iPhone is incredibly easy. You just open your Settings app, tap your name at the very top, and look for Sign In and Security. Right there, you'll see Legacy Contact, and it will walk you right through generating that printable code.
It takes maybe 3 minutes, honestly, but it bypasses the need for your family to guess your passwords or spend months arguing with Apple's customer service.
Okay, so we've handled the big three, Meta, Google, and Apple. But what about the rest of the internet? What if I use Yahoo for my email, or I have a lot of photos on Instagram?
This is where we need to set some realistic expectations, because not every company has built these elegant tools yet. If you use Instagram, which is owned by Meta, the same company as Facebook, they do offer the ability for a family member to request that an account be memorialized.
Okay.
However, strangely, Instagram currently lacks a proactive legacy contact feature. You cannot set it up in advance. A family member just has to manually contact Instagram after the fact and provide proof of death.
Really, that seems like an oversight on their part. But what about email? If I don't use Gmail, and instead I use something like Outlook or Yahoo?
General email providers are bound by very strict privacy laws.
Yeah.
In the U.S., it's often related to the Electronic Communications Privacy Act. Without a proactive user-authorized setup like Google's Inactive Account Manager, most email services require formal, expensive legal documentation.
Like lawyers and courts.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Usually this means your family has to go to a judge and get a court order explicitly demanding that Yahoo or Microsoft release the contents of the inbox. The companies are legally terrified of violating the privacy of the deceased.
Which is exactly why taking advantage of the proactive tools where they do exist, like Google and Apple, is so incredibly vital. It saves your family from getting bogged down in legal red tape and attorney fees.
Exactly. You are preemptively granting that legal authorization.
Which brings us to the final and honestly the most important piece of this entire puzzle, the human element. Because sitting quietly in your armchair, tapping on your phone, and setting up these brilliantly engineered digital safeguards, it actually isn't quite enough on its own.
No, it really isn't. The technology, no matter how advanced, only works if the people you've designated actually know what to do. The systems require human initiation.
But I want to reassure everyone listening. You do not need to call a solemn, heavy family meeting to discuss this. You don't have to gather the kids around the dining room table and make a dramatic announcement about your digital estate.
Right. The gentle, quiet approach is usually the most effective one here. Absolutely. We often recommend creating a physical digital for my family folder. You can keep it right alongside your mortgage papers, your insurance policies, or your medical directives. Just take a plain piece of paper and handwrite a simple note.
Keep it really basic.
Yeah. It can say, by the way, I've set up a Facebook legacy contact and I named my son to handle it. Or, my Apple Access key is printed out and kept in the bottom drawer of this filing cabinet.
Just leaving a breadcrumb trail.
Exactly. You are just giving your loved ones a starting point. When the time eventually comes and they are sorting through your household papers, they will find that folder. They will have clear instructions and they won't be left guessing, feeling helpless, or trying to hack into your laptop.
It completely changes the dynamic. It transforms a moment of profound administrative stress into a moment where they feel deeply cared for by you. They'll look at that handwritten note and think, wow, even now, they are still looking out for me. They thought of everything.
It really is a profound gift of foresight. And we hope that by walking through the why and the how behind these tools today, you see that you are entirely capable of utilizing them. The tech platforms have already built the safe deposit boxes and the museums. You just have to take a few minutes to tell them who holds the keys.
That is so well said. As we wrap up our conversation today, I want to leave you with a completely different kind of question to ponder. A thought about the future of all this.
Oh, I'm curious.
We've been talking about freezing our accounts into digital museums or deleting them entirely. But as artificial intelligence gets more and more advanced, as it gets better at mimicking how we talk and write, will our digital legacy remain just static photos on a screen? Or, a decade from now, will our grandkids be interacting with AI chatbots that were trained on our old emails and text messages?
Oh, wow. That is a fascinating and maybe slightly unsettling frontier. But honestly, it highlights exactly why taking control of your data today is so important.
It really does. You are the architect of your digital footprint, and taking just 15 minutes today to open those settings and make those choices is a wonderful, empowering step forward. You've totally got this.
You absolutely do.
This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe at subscribe.theseniortechie.com.